Hello everyone, I'm Cloud and welcome to Anime no Mi. Will Luffy awaken a new power? Will he finally increase his speed and reach 5th gear now that he's been taken down by Kaido? How is the Straw Hat Pirate going to recover to stop Yonko? We'll talk about Gear 5 and what Oda has already revealed to us about it. And I already count on your support to make the I like it. Your like it is very important and helps the channel. I also count on you a lot to subscribe if you are still new here. You are very welcome to our crew. Guys, then, as we know, Kaido just took down Luffy, and well, we all knew that in a direct fight it would be very difficult for Mugiwara to actually reach the Yonko in power. After all, the pirate of the 100 beasts with all his years of experience is considered, mainly by himself, the most powerful in the world, besides having even been called invincible. And well, one of Luffy's most visible power evolutions was the gears, and most importantly, since Gear 2nd, we saw that these evolutions came about when he decided he needed to get stronger, that he needed more power, not only to fulfill your dream, but to protect those who were by your side. And so now, that Luffy after being defeated was again witnessing an apparent defeat against Kaido, the next question is, will he use Gear 5 in this confrontation? And even Oda himself had to talk about it at the release of the 98th volume of the manga. Yes, he has already commented on the use of Gear 5. As I said, this happened during the 98th volume of the manga, during the 8th question, where Oda was asked the following: if Luffy's Gear 4 represents one thing, and this in this case was said in a matter of power, but coming back, so would the Gear 5 represent a better thing? Basically it was asked, well, if Gear 5 would be more powerful than Gear 4, and Oda's answer was as follows. First he plays with the handwriting of the question, and then he asks, well, what would Gear 5 be? The author then starts to indirectly answer the question. He says that right now the enemy we have to defeat is the man who claims to be essentially the strongest being in the world, and by the time we're in the manga we're actually already seeing this confrontation. Then Oda starts saying the following: because it's the big battle and also the world is in the transition era between 4G and 5G, it sure means gear, right? Basically, Oda didn't want to answer the question no matter how much he answered the question. So what did he mean at this point is important for this fight. Come on, the question was just whether a Gear 5 would be more powerful than a Gear 4, and as much as he responded in a comical way, he could have just quoted the numerical order or something, but Oda preferred to talk about the battle that would be happening right now. And after that he mentioned how the world was going from 4G to 5G, and that this G stands for gear. That is, possibly we can really take this indirect answer seriously, especially because the battle that Oda mentioned is at the apex, or rather, going to the ground. But now that we've seen Luffy's need for power at that point, Oda citing about this 5G and all of that hints at the possible appearance. What would Gear 5 really be? How would Luffy get to 5 gear, and in 5th gear, in a one-on-one fight? Should we keep rooting for Kaido or not? As we know, Gear started with Luffy's need to refine his techniques after realizing how strong his rivals were, and we saw the way Luffy did, initially accelerating the flow of his blood to all parts of his body, offering more oxygen and nutrients. It becomes much stronger, faster, and even flexible, and as we saw after his training, he was able to use this technique in a more focused way. He is basically able to define in which part of his body he will activate Gear 2nd, so he uses it quickly in the middle of combat. And then we go to Gear 3rd, who lowered Luffy when he activates this gear, and well, while in the other one he pumps his blood, in this one he pumps air to use his rubber body as a big balloon of massive force. Luffy makes an opening in his finger to blow all the air he can accumulate, and since he's made of rubber he does a lot, and then he fills his arm and manages to control the air through his body as he likes, inflating and surpassing even a giant. However, now we come to gear, which is more important for us to understand what Gear 5 will be. After all, basically Oda indirectly ended up showing us during the last chapters of the manga what Luffy should do. Basically Gear 4th, we see Luffy using the powers of Busashoko Haki's power, and we also know that he unites it with the powers of the previous gears. After all, he also inflates like Gear 3. And basically, if Luffy's powers already increase frighteningly with previous gear, when reaching 4th gear, his powers increase much more with Busashoko Haki, which makes his body practically unstoppable in terms of strength and endurance, i.e., combines a lot with the techniques of here. Not only that, as a way to see the strength that the spiritual power that Busashoko has, it is the way to be able to face Akuma no Mi users, even those with physical changes such as Paramecia, and especially one of the most important points, the Logia. And at this point, as we know with this Haki, at this point it can further strengthen Luffy's Gear 4, and that with Ryu's knowledge, or better yet, advanced Busashoko Haki. And we've already commented on this a few times, as Luffy learned more about how Busashoko Haki could be trained to reach a completely different level, being able to create a kind of invisible armor that allows for better defense and a differentiated attack. But it goes further, where it is able to use this Haki to attack, causing not external damage damage, but internal damage, transferring the gathered Haki inside the enemy's body and finishing it from the inside out. So yes, now we can see how Gear 4 can be evolved, increasing its power even more. But would that be Gear 5? And I believe not. In Gear 5 I believe it would go beyond using the advanced form of Haki, in this case Hoshiku. We should use the main Haki, the Haki of those who are destined to conquer. Yes, I believe the main point of Gear 5 will be Haki of the King. After all, we saw how Luffy had questioned Kaido about that opponent coating his club with Hoshiku Haki, and that he understood after learning about advanced Busashoku Haki. Basically, he discovered Yonka's secret. And so, Kaido did everything to finish him off, but Luffy resisted and also counterattacked, and he really showed himself to be able to use Busashoku Haki in an advanced way. But not only that, apparently he did the same with the Haki of the King, increasing his strength much more instantly, but still with no experience of how to use that power. Even so, we've already seen how Luffy discovered a way to increase Gear 4 and also strengthen the power that can be the key to Gear 5. The King's Haki. After all, we see how the gears, or rather each of his gears, are how Luffy strengthens his body, and we also saw how without using Busashoku, he kicked Kaido's club without apparently touching it. So at that point, he can use his new knowledge to provisionally create Gear 5, a technique that obviously he can't just use whenever he wants. After all, it's like that at the beginning of every gear, and in this case, we're talking about a power that he's still not completely mastered. But I believe that Gear 5 will be that, a power where he simply must unite the knowledge, and the very use of the advanced use of Haki, uniting the King's Haki, and strengthening his body with Busashoku. Not to mention also the use of Gears 2 and 3 which, as we know, increase the use of the powers of Luffy's paramecia. And obviously, Haki won't live with the Straw Hat, after all he has greatly increased the powers of his Akuma in me. Basically we can split the gear usage into two, before and after the Haki, where initially Luffy only had the powers of his Akuma no Mi. After all, when he only had his strength and his Goma Goma no Mi, Luffy needed to know how to get the most out of his rubber body in a confrontation, and so the first two gears were created to increase the power of using the Goma Goma no Mi, which really had an effect. So the importance of increasing your strength and speed through your metabolism, which is only possible by having a power of paramecia, should also be kept in Gear 5, as it kept it mainly a little bit of Gear 3 and Gear 4. But after that the main thing would be the use of the King's Haki in his Gear 5, now that he discovered a greater effectiveness of this Haki in combat, along with the Busashoku used with the knowledge he acquired in Udon. So basically it should get the perfect gear shape, Gear 5, which I believe will be the last, but incredibly strong. And obviously gear is still not Luffy's only innate power. There is another power of his paramecia that many forget, and if you want I can make a video explaining it. Don't forget to leave your likes in the video to help the channel, and also subscribe if you're still new here. The channel is new and needs your help. Thank you so much for watching our video so far. Your support is very important. See you in the next video. Bye.